everybody taking dog tags. Dog, this is awesome, it's Optimus Prime and your quadrant is talking to you, got that? I was in a mind when I crafted this. The dungeon master's wrath with a dash of sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist to tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and hold on.
Oh, so you're catching up now. Oh, good chaser.
You'll listen to episode number 164 of the Trinity Force podcast.
Is that the shitty tequila?
No, that's rum.
Oh, okay.
It looks worse than shitty. It looks like the worst kind of rum I've ever seen.
Great.
I got this for free like 3 years ago, and it's been sitting in my fridge ever since.
This is cold.
And yeah, it just sits in my fridge, and I pull it out every once in a while when I want to drink.
Oh yeah. Hey, so it's Monday Fun Day. Adam, you got the title wrong on Twitch.
Oh shit. This is
Oh, we gotta start all over.
So 164, the Trinity Force podcast. I can't spell Trinity. Sorry for anybody who's listening at home. Anyway, there we go. Everything's taken care of. You heard all my typing, and it's all taken care of. So let's restart this for the home listeners.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy.
Make sure we're actually projecting audio too.
Oh my god,
probably good to do.
I thought I was gonna be the problem here, but
no. Turns out it's
restart this for the home. Yeah, we are. I just double checked. All right, let's redo this.
What was that tight ship? Did you say?
Normally it's a tight ship.
That's a tight shit.
Type ship. Type
All right,
shit.
let's redo this for the podcast listeners at home.
Monday.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. You listen to episode number 164. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this evening. Unfortunately, DeClaude is not joining us. He's celebrating Memorial Day
Can you
with
blame
his family. I cannot.
Blame.
He is a serviceman.
Can we give a round of applause for DeClaude?
We should give a round of applause to everybody who's serving past, present, and future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're out there listening to us right now and you're deployed, please let us know. We do appreciate all of your...
It's not like that's the word we have for it. It's not even close to the right word. But it's the best we got.
Yeah, I think you understand how much I have. My brother-in-law is actually in the Air Force.
My cousin, my other cousin, yeah.
I have a number of friends.
Yep. So,
friends, family, yeah.
So
Thank you.
We're all very thankful for your patronage for the country. So with that, we'll move on. As I said, DeClaude's out here, but I'm going to go ahead and run down all the hosts. Mitch, I'm going to put in the hot seat.
Oh my gosh, come on, man.
It's that.
Adam, you're fucking up tonight.
I don't ever fuck up. Hi, Mitch.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Mitch is from the LCS Rundown. He is one of the co-hosts on there, along with the two Toms and Greg.
2 nights in a row, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to a normal podcast week for us.
Thank you.
Starting with a chug of rum.
I'd had to do the Archer.
I mean, that's true.
So, Chira's here.
Hi.
Hi, Chira. Ed Dom.
What's up? How you going?
Drunk Dom.
Very drunk. Like, first episode, I don't know how many of y'all have been listening, long-time listeners here, but yeah, like, first time I was on the show, I was about as wasted as I've ever been on this show, and yeah, tonight we are rivaling that.
Well, I just saw you did the opposite of the long blink there, but you just blinked like 6 times in a row, so I can tell.
Yeah.
That's what level you're at. All right.
All right, well, let's do some podcast news right here. Guys, we do have a sponsorship we'd really like for you guys to go check out. If you go to tinyurl.com/tforcenature, you guys go check out the Nature Box for between $20 and $50 a month. You'll help support the podcast by signing up for this Nature Box. It's a box of really healthy treats and snacks that come to your doorstep every month. They're either auto-picked for you, or you can go in there and pick up the snacks that you want. If you listen to last week's episode, Dom's roommate said that she enjoyed both, but ended up liking the auto pick more than she liked picking her own.
Yeah, what a goofy girl.
Yeah,
I like the auto pick too because you get a surprise of something that you probably would have never tried anyway, and then bam, it's delicious, and your mind is blown.
And fucking who doesn't love snacks?
Like sriracha peanuts or something. Wasn't there?
Sriracha cashew.
Sounds good.
Fuck yes.
Blueberry,
I wish I had some right now.
Almonds. Oh.
Yeah, so I'm getting hungry just thinking about that. So guys, don't forget to go check out Nature Box. It's tinyurl.com/tforcenature. That gives you our sponsor URL. Signing up helps the podcast. Dom did not put it in this week, though. We had a
There's phrasing.
Phrasing. I had to go pull it up. I found it. Okay, we did have a donation come in this week from James. James donated $15 to the podcast, so thank you very much, James, for helping us out.
The one I put in the wrong name.
Jose?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Jose. Apparently, you put it in there and I didn't see it. This podcast is fucked. This is the Memorial Day podcast.
Yeah,
You think I am the drunk one.
About? What are you talking about? I put it in. I got it done.
I give up.
I got there.
It's 10 minutes of the podcast.
Anyway,
We're not even 10 minutes. It's not even close.
Okay, anyway, Jose,
thank you.
Thank you for helping. If you guys would like to help donate to the podcast, tforce.trinityforcepodcast.com. There's a donation button right there. You guys can give any denomination. It all helps out to continue furthering the podcast brand and getting more of these out there for you. So since I've been fucking up all the news, I'm not going to do any more for this Monday. We're going to move into discussion.
Baby, I got your back. Adam, he doesn't know what he's talking about, but I got you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the stream monsters in Twitch chat right now making fun of me and talking about the beer. So I love you all. All right, let's move on then. So we want to talk about Trick's 2G Madstone build this week. We've heard a lot of talk about it over the past couple weeks. If you guys watched the VG tournament a couple weeks ago, you would have noticed that Trick was talking about that as well with Greg while they were casting. And we really wanted to kind of break it down and why it's good, why it's bad, and, you know, moving on from there. So I'm going to let one of you junglers take it.
All right. I've actually played.
He knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. I actually played the Madstone build quite a bit this weekend, mostly today, and mostly on Udyr because it's really freaking good on Udyr. And
what's the idea behind it? Why don't you explain?
Basically, you get the stacking potential late game from getting the early Madreds. You get.
What are you buying? Like,
okay, so first of all, you get the machete, and then basically you rush into Madreds, and you want to get a Spirit Stone right around the same time. And part of that is because now your clear speed is incredibly fast, especially when you're on a power farm jungler such as Udyr, Nocturne, anybody who can clear extremely fast. And basically, you have an item that will scale super great late. And you have borderline infinite sustain the entire time you're jungling, plus you're getting all that bonus money.
And you kind of, like, I think the idea is you kind of have a flexible team-oriented item as well.
Right. Yeah, well, the biggest part is that, say you're getting screwed out of, you know, being able to farm like crazy, you can also build the Spirit Stone into something that will be effective early as well, which is something that I like about it.
I guess, I mean, like, obviously it's a certain set of junglers that are going to get this because not all junglers want the Feral Flare. Would you ever get this and get Feral Flare and also get Spirit of the Spectral Wraith? That sort of seems like the outlier for this.
Well, don't they never? You never upgrade Spirit Stone, right?
You don't have to.
I haven't.
But you could. But in theory, you can get you get Ancient Golem or Elder Lizard. And you either have durability or damage because, you know, real jungler. And would you ever... But I'm having a hard time seeing a situation where you would actually get Spectral Wraith.
I don't ever buy Spectral Wraith.
No one even buys it anyways.
Except for a Mumu. But
Mumu
or like
maybe,
Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, but if you're Fiddlesticks, you're not going to be playing.
No, that's what I'm just saying. Like I don't want. Like what I'm trying to point out is like it's a specific set of junglers that are going to get this.
Right. It's going to be the junglers that build Feral Flare. That's going to.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Yeah, so and you're looking at everything that's not called Spectre Wraith.
And the other nice thing about that is that with just the fact that you have the Spirit Stone, you have all that extra mana sustain that you normally wouldn't have on somebody like Udyr if you didn't do what I do and buy a tier early. Or like if you're playing Nocturne, who if you're spamming your Q all the time, you're going to be running out of mana. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You just go clear a camp and you're back up to full almost.
So you played a few games with this. Is it broken? Quote unquote.
It was really good. I had a finished Feral Flare at like 12 minutes, and I
recall that. I recall being in that game. That was kind of ridiculous.
And I could clear incredibly fast the gank potential just because I was so ahead from being able to clear fast. There were times where I wouldn't even need to go back to like 2k gold because I was clearing so fast, and we'd get a gank off. And Adam and I ended up turning 2 ganks around top lane because I was in the right spot at the right time, and we ended up getting 1 kill for myself and 3 for him.
Was that the Lee Sin game?
And the enemy top laner just got pissed and rage quit, which was pretty funny.
But you never upgraded the Spirit Stone or even
no,
tried to,
I just
right?
I kept
they're talking about this in chat right now, and they're saying the reason you actually can't. I can't confirm this. You can't because you can't have 2 gold generation items.
Right.
Whereas spirit items or full spirit items are gold generation as well as wriggles.
That's correct.
Okay, so you have to decide early.
Yeah, you just keep the Spirit Stone. You don't.
The Spirit Stone is for that sustain.
The thing is, if you don't get a lead early, or you're not able to jungle efficiently to get the Feral Flare where you want it to be, you can just toss out the idea of getting the Feral Flare. And say you wanted to play around with Feral Flare Pantheon, buy the early Madreds, get the Spirit Stone. If you can't farm, just sell the Madreds, since it's pretty cost efficient to sell for the most part. You're not losing too much money, and you can still end up getting an Elder Lizard or something like that.
I don't understand why, like, the passive on Spirit of the Ancient Golem is it's Butcher and it's Conservation, and the passive on Wriggles
it's not a well, if you buy 2 passive items, you can do that normally. You can get 2 passive. They don't count.
The passive on Wriggles is main, so you can't, like, as based on what I'm reading, you can overlap on these.
No, it's not that. You can buy 2 items with the same passive. They just don't both activate. It only activates one. But there's a limit on gold generation items. Like, you can't buy both Talisman and.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is there's nothing in the jungle items that's saying there is a limit here. They can overlap
in game. In game, it does show that it says you're limited to 1 gold item.
Okay. It's the same thing with Wriggles. The tooltip on Wriggles doesn't say that you pick up stacks and kills or assists.
It's unclear on.
It's a hidden pass.
It's unclear online, like off the game. But yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I'm not a jungler. Like I know the support items. I know you can't have any of those 3 items, and I've hated that. But okay.
But going back to the fact that I had a Feral Flare at 12 minutes, I had like 14 stacks by 20 minutes. And
do you think they're going to nerf that? Do you think they're going to change either Madreds or Spirit Stone or both?
I don't know.
3 ors.
Yeah, that's a big.
I doubt they touch it anytime soon. There's other fish to fry right now, and that build isn't turning junglers into madmen. You have to know what you're doing to use that build.
Well, and it's not exactly hard to notice that the enemy jungler, they bought both of those. They're gonna power farm. Let's go fuck them up. They're going to be slightly behind in other things that they're going to want to build, and you can get an advantage on them if you're paying attention to what they're doing. It's kind of the same issue we were running into with the fact that people were just, spam farming Feral Flare anyway. We're just kind of back to that, except now they have more sustain while they're doing it, and the clear time is insanely fast.
But you actually have a choice with this one, unlike with Feral Flare. Your choice is, do you want to gank lanes all the time, or do I want to power farm and do the Trick 2G thing where I walk out with 4,000 gold before I go back because I'm powerful enough?
You walk out with 40 stacks on your Feral Flare at like 25 minutes and don't care about anything.
Yeah, so... But he's doing that based on he understands where the jungle and whatnot. But still, you are forced, if you buy both those, you're not forced to by any means. But when you buy both those, you're focusing on farming to carry in the later of the late mid game.
Do you counter jungle a lot with it?
You can.
Your clear time is just insane.
Well, that's the thing is if you can get in there, you can clear so quickly.
I was about to say you can, but you can also just go from one side of your jungle to the other in like a minute. It's pretty crazy. It's a lot of fun.
So if they address this, what they're going to do is add that unique gold income passive to Spirit Stone, because that's where it's missing.
Well, it doesn't exist on.
No. That's what it's like. The Spirit of the Ancient Golem is what I have pulled up. They have you may only be in possession of 1 gold income item. It's not on Spirit Stone, and that's because it's not generating gold. But that's what I'm saying. If they have a problem with this build, that's where they will have to address it.
100's machete build item, something like that.
Yeah, I would rather them word it that way. I think that would be,
and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, that's how it will get. I don't really care whether or not it's a problem. It didn't, like, you were having a good game, but I've seen you have similarly good games on Udyr before. I love it when you play Udyr because you are like freaking government ban level asshole when you play Udyr. I love it.
It was funny because I will say what I typically do on Udyr, I really like leveling Turtle second because of just the effective health it gives
People
you.
don't level Turtle second? Do they?
I think people are doing Bear now.
With
Phoenix and Bear.
This is the thing with the Madstone bullshit. A lot of people are leveling either, depending on whether they're going to go Phoenix or Tiger, they'll go straight Phoenix into Bear into Turtle and like get a couple points in Tiger, does
leveling Bear give a?
It gives that extra move speed.
Extra move speed. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a smaller percentage bonus, but I mean, if you're not buying boots early, that is actually you can make up for it with that. I've actually seen a lot of people going maxing both Phoenix and Tiger, which really annoys me because it kills. I mean, it's a great split pushing thing and it's really good for 1v1s, but it really kills your team fight like soak potential as Udyr, which is probably my favorite thing to do with him is to get one lifesteal item, run in, do a shitload of damage to somebody, and just spam the shit out of Turtle and Bear and just be a menace to anybody who gets in your way.
I love it when you play Udyr because you're like public asshole number one when you play him, and that's my favorite condition. Like when the jungler is the asshole who is ruining everybody else's life, and this person's on my team. That's my favorite conditions to play this game, because it allows me in bottom lane to do everything I want because the opponent jungler is being super reactionary and has to like deal with the fact that I have the better jungler.
So here's my question out of this. Cereal Box, you took some time today and you looked into this build, you watched some VODs.
A little bit. Oh, yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I'm not saying you spent a couple hours on it. You may have spent 15 minutes.
Years, days, weeks, months.
Do you have anything to add into this conversation?
I think it's interesting because it, from what I understand, is you pretty much get such crazy sustain and you never really have to back, which I wonder what they're going to address on that. Like Dom was saying, they could say you can't get both. They might nerf some. This is brand new. I didn't even know about it till you texted me about it today. Because I haven't played in a few days because I've been out of town.
Well, I mean, this has been going on for at least a couple weeks too. I mean, this isn't necessarily something new that's just popped up. It's been going on for a few weeks. It's just it hasn't been super advertised.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I have not.
Have to watch Trick 2G.
Yeah,
yeah. Really, what it comes down to is it a problem, or should our listeners, like our listener jungle players, should they just be abusing it when they can?
I'd say it's something that's really strong in solo queue, especially if you're.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see it in LCS.
It's a solo queue thing, and it makes the enemy pay for not being organized enough to stop you from power farming.
Or to punch the lanes.
Yeah. I don't see this being a problem at like the highest level per se.
Like truthfully, it's a handful of junglers that can do this. It's not like fucking Nautilus is going to go pick up a Madreds and then buy a Spirit Stone.
Why not?
Because what does Madreds do for Nautilus?
I mean, I've seen Wrecker bust it out.
Don't you can't. You and I had a conversation.
Oh, I can.
Times.
Oh, I can, and I will.
You can't compare every other jungler on the planet to Wrecker because he will just do things that make zero sense to you, but somehow still work.
Karma jungle, my favorite.
Swain jungle.
Yeah. Well, no, Cereal Box is Karma everywhere. Then pass out 10 minutes into the game if it's not going his way. So.
And hey, did you guys win that game?
No, we went to bed.
No, not in the slightest.
We went to bed, I think, too. We all just AFK.
We also passed out.
All right, so I think more people need to start. I think more people need to. If you've listened to this podcast, you're a jungler, they need to try this build out. That is picking up Madreds, is picking up Spirit Stone, and then farming and helping out.
Pick it on a jungler that's a strong farmer and may have weak early game mana things. Like I haven't played this on Nocturne yet. I really want to because like I was saying with Udyr, typically before this point I would build a tier just because if I got blue early I could spam the crap out of it and build it, never have to worry about mana again. This build basically just lets you go in, farm a camp, and you're almost back up to full mana. It's extremely nice, and I really want to see it. At least I want to hear how it performs on other junglers that might have similar problems from spamming abilities.
There we go. That's a podcast.
do-
For this week, Dom, for this week, we're going to give a podcast challenge out there. This is the episode, 164 of the podcast, I said? Yes, episode 164. You heard it right here. Take out the Spirit Stone, take out the Razor, and let us know how it works with the different junglers. Try it with everything, and write in and let us know. It's our contest of the week. I really want to see, because we can't go and test it all, and that's what you guys are out there listening for.
I think it's curious that... Sorry, go ahead.
Do we know? Okay, so we know that as far as Hunter's Machete goes, champion kills, assists, and large monsters slain now grant feral stacks.
No.
Does this... Yeah, no, that's... I'm looking at the
It
patch
went to
notes.
Machete now?
Yeah, no, it's always been Machete.
It's always
Machete.
been Machete.
Okay, I thought it only...
It's always been
it
it was always large monsters. They changed it to champion kills and assists. Do we know? So the question is, do you hold those stacks or do they keep accumulating if you buy a Spirit Stone first?
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't either.
I
It's
haven't
worth
bought a
answering,
Spirit
but-
Stone first, so I can tell you that anyway.
I'm genuinely curious. It's given that it's the subset is Feral Flare junglers who would also want one of these other items, or who would also want Spirit Stone.
I'm going to assume
it's a very
passively
specific
stacks,
subset.
and if you were to pick up a Madrids later in the game, you would still have...
It would be really weird if it stacked until you got Spirit Stone, and then
it just
you
stopped.
I
got
thought about
another
that,
machete, and
but
then it started stacking.
we would have to go
again.
test it. That's all it would be.
And I'm sorry I didn't think to do this beforehand, but
I wonder if
it might only stack off the item that's in your inventory. So if you turn that machete into a Spirit Stone, it no longer stacks until you pick up another
Well,
machete.
I think the thing is too.
Wrecker
Say
hold on. Wrecker says he tested it. They're independent item of the item itself. He tested by building Spirit first and still had the stacks when he got the second item. When he got the second machete.
Where the hell did he message you that at?
Because I was the one who asked on Skype, and I was the one who questioned.
good guy Wrecker saving the day
Thank you.
from the
Thank you.
shadows.
All right, there we go.
Well, I think we've spent enough time on the Madstone build, and like I said, I want people to go test it out and try it. Since Dom is standing on a soapbox tonight, I'm going to let him continue to stand on it and go nuts with this next topic.
So, I bet a lot of you out there watch LCS from time to time, and you have probably noticed more than once that that people tend to split push for reasons, and that's going to trickle down into your solo queue play. I'm trying to figure out how to delicately handle this. And
Don't
everything.
delicately
Don't
say it.
delicately say anything. Do what I do. You're
Right.
on the... Okay, Dom.
You're on the
Dom!
soapbox.
Dom!
Never been my MO. Like, I'm not the guy who gets on the soapbox and preaches about
Here,
shit.
I'll give you a little bit of our dickeriness and hand it over for about 5 minutes. All right. So here you go. All right.
Yeah, take
You
it,
need to
Dom.
take
Take
it.
it, Dom. Take it.
There
you go.
there. All right. Now go.
Now go. You have 5 minutes to be a dick.
I don't know how to do that.
Wow.
There is a time and a place in which you should split push, and that's not necessarily all the time, every game, because if your team is ahead, then monetarily or from a power spike standpoint, you have the advantage, and your team should just be grouping up and trying to push an objective as one, because if they try to engage you, you are going to win. So if you are Nasus, for example, 30 minutes into the game, you don't really need to be split pushing just because you're a really strong champion and can handle a 1v1 or whatever, because you're probably going to do more for your team by being with the team and murdering everybody that runs at you. So don't split push, group up, and then push. That's the best I got for a soapbox.
Okay, the way I like to
3.5
phrase
minutes.
this is, if you are the strongest person on your team and your team is going equal or slightly behind the enemy team, stop being by yourself and go carry the team rather than sitting in the lane and continuing to be a monster.
Like if the reason your team is losing fights is because you are not there, then split pushing by you is not the correct decision, especially if you don't have teleport. But
well, here's another good point, and I think this is something that people don't take into consideration. You are the monster. You are a Nasus. Let's just say you're an infinitely scaling character like Nasus or Vhagar, and you've decided as Nasus, I want to split push because I want to continually grab stacks. And every time I split push, me as Nasus, I get ganked by 3 people. And then you yell at your team, I just got ganked by 3 people. Why aren't you pushing down this lane? Why aren't you doing that? But you don't realize that you've been drawing all the attention and your team is behind. Because they're no longer ganking you in the top lane, like during the laning phase, because you're so far ahead. So they're not going to.
They didn't gank you for 20 minutes, and then they started focusing on you because they realized that the other areas were not the problem. You were. Then like you got to realize, you kind of have to acknowledge, okay, it's time for me to be with the rest of the people who are behind because I got left alone.
Yeah, because if you go top lane and you keep pushing top lane, you keep getting ganked by 4 people, and you keep yelling at your team, "Do something! I was top lane. Why don't you get dragon?" But you're not taking into account that they just had to back, or they're not as powerful as the people that are ganking, or whatever it may be. They need that extra 10 minutes.
Or they ganked bot lane and took out the support and the marksman. And then they had enough time to run as a team from bot lane to top lane to take out you because you were pushing the second turret or whatever. Like, I mean, there are so many factors beyond you were split pushing, and your team should have taken advantage of that. Like, split pushing all the time, always, is not the answer. You really have to assess the situation and think, okay, do we gain more by me split pushing, or do I need to group up with my team because they need my crowd control or damage or whatever else in order to succeed in a team fight?
No, I agree with you, but the fact that you need to step back and figure out what your split pushing is doing to your team. Are you making an advantage for your team by split pushing? Are you really bringing those 5 people up to you and allowing your team to take towers? Or are you bringing those 5 people up to you while your team is still regrouping because they are far behind? You need to assess the whole situation rather than look at just yourself.
The other part of this is, too, if you are able to draw all that potential, like, ganking to you from everybody else on your team, but they aren't taking advantage of it anyway, you need to take the game into your own hands, because they're not going to take advantage of it if they haven't done it after the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, however many times, and you're pissed at this point. Go with them and show them how the fucking game is won.
Well, there's another point you guys haven't brought up yet, and it goes back all the way to champ select, and is your team comp one that wants somebody split pushing? Because if, say, the other team has a very good team fight comp, a bunch of AoE, if their team wants to team fight, split pushing is a great counter to that. But at the same time, if your team wants to team fight, is made for it, and you go up and split push, you're hurting your team way more than if the roles were reversed. And so you can see early on, if you want to be somebody who can escape well, that's one of the big parts of split pushing, is if you can get away pretty well, that always helps, and it takes more time for them to kill you. Or if you have teleport, there's so many other things that go into, besides saying, should I split push? Well, is your champion for that? Warding, of course.
The biggest
being able
one
to see
here
them moving.
Is warding and helping your team by that warding. But your main point that you made there about the team fighting, you have to realize that what your role in the game is going to be. So again, if I'm going to Nasus, because a lot of Nasus like to split push for whatever reason, because they like to get that Q.
Well, I get why they like to do it, but I mean, seriously, if your Q damage is dealing 500 every swing, like, you should just be with your team, because they're not going to focus on you.
Well, it also looks it's really fun to see a huge amount of the hit points of a turret just go down each time you Q it. I think that's the reason everyone does it. Oh no, I get it. I think
they're gonna focus on the marksman, which means you get to sit and swing at everything that you run into.
It's the infinite scaling of the Q. If I can sit in a lane for 20 minutes, I have that extra 20 minutes of Q farm, and it's really easy to get. Greed is good, okay? The old Warcraft 3 thing. Greed is good, so people take
Warcraft
that
2, baby.
Yeah,
Warcraft
people take
2.
that into heart. Take that to heart. And they walk to the lane and they continually queue and hold that wave there. But you're a detriment to your team by doing that, or you potentially are. But if you're playing, here's when you want to split push. Your Shen, you have your ult up. That's a good time to split push, unless your team is behind. Then you probably should be with your team, or your Tryndamere, and you are playing with a team that can team fight without you. Because Trinity doesn't do well in team fights. He cleans up team fights.
He'll come in late anyway if he's going to come in at all.
Right. So like those are like the two characters off the top of my head that I would.
He can kill people. He can kill one or two people that come to gank him too.
That is the big point here. That's you need if you're split pushing, you need to be able to beat that person that you're in lane with and allow yourself to split push.
But you got to do it at the right time. Split pushing when the rest of your team just lost a fight and everybody else is going back to base in order to heal up and buy shit. You're not doing anything good. You're going to die, and then your team is still set behind for it. Mm-hmm. Now, if the rest of your team has regrouped and you're split pushing to draw attention, that's a totally different situation there. But you can't just split push for the sake of split pushing. And that is what I feel like a lot of solo queue players do. They just like, oh, I'm going to split push, and I'm just going to keep doing that irrespective of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where the line is. Like, do it, have a reason behind your split pushing, not because
split pushing is most effective when everybody's on the same page. They know what you're doing, and they can react while you're reacting. They can react when the enemy is reacting to them only having 4 people there. It's not the be-all, end-all strategy specifically for the solo queue environment. You are going to see it in the LCS because those guys play with each other all the fucking time. They play with each other. They are communicating with each other. They know what they're doing, and they have a really deep strategy going with everything that they do for the most part. That does not translate to solo queue whatsoever.
It doesn't translate directly. It can translate if you are willing to communicate as much to your team, but you have to say, like, either at the start or repeatedly throughout the games, like, I'm going to split push. Like, I'm going to do it. You guys, I'm drawing attention. You guys need to capitalize on that and take other objectives while they are focusing on me.
But you can't just too hard in solo queue to even.
It's hard. No, I don't think it's too hard. I think it's hard, but you can't assume your team is going to read your mind. And I think that's what a lot of split pushers do. They think, I'm doing my thing up here and I'm drawing attention. My team is going to know how to capitalize on this. And I think that's the mistake. Tell them, I'm going to split push. You guys need to consolidate, regroup, and focus your efforts during the time where 2 or 3, depending on the champion you are, where it gives you an advantage. Because if it's a 4v3, you should still win that. Like, that's when your team should be driving down other objectives. But if you're just split pushing, irrespective of the conditions that the rest of your team are playing under, you are actually hurting your team more than you're helping.
I think it's difficult to put a full. Obviously, everything's situational. But if we were to try to put a flow chart to this right now, it would probably be gigantic. If this, then this. It is just absurd.
That is the one thing that we've preached for 160 episodes with this podcast, is that this game is not flowchartable. This game is all based on your experience, and the more experience you have, the better you're going to be at this game every time. So you need to split push once and realize this is what happened when I split pushed as Nasus and I kept dying. But why did that happen? And that situation will repeat itself at some point in the future, and that's how you bring yourself up that one more rank, because you'll see that situation once in every 15 games. And if you can turn that into a win every 15 games, you're one step ahead of your opponent. So, you know, every opportunity you can capitalize on puts you one step ahead of your opponent and puts you up there that one rank higher. And that's how you start going from bronze to silver to gold to platinum to diamond.
So, I think we're pretty much done with this one, but I'm kind of sad you didn't bring up the other infinite scaling champion, because you already picked up 2 of them with Vigar and Nasus.
What other infinite scaling champion?
The best champion in the game, Scion.
Oh, with his health and his E.
Yep.
God,
that's pretty. He's getting a rework.
So much.
He'll be gone. He'll be new soon. Don't worry.
Well, since
I don't actually like him at all.
Since we have a moment here, I'm actually going to take a quick break before we move into the next topic, because I want to talk about another sponsorship opportunity that you guys have with the Trinity Force podcast. If you guys are not, if you guys don't want to donate or you don't want to sign up for the Nature Box, we have one more opportunity for you. And if you go to, let me get the URL here, right? If you guys go to audibletrial.com/TForce podcast, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial of Audible. That gives you 1 free audiobook, and that's going to supplement these podcasts, because like a Serial Box, he's on the LCS Rundown, that's an hour a week. The T-Force proper, that's 2 hours a week, and the OzLOL. They're just getting brand new microphones, by the way, so please go check them out. Those will be here within the week.
It's a good show. I mean, it's Aussie specific, but
They're great guys, and they do a fantastic job of breaking everything down, specifically the Oceanic scene and the patch notes.
We've had Leon a few times. He's been a great guy, great sport about a lot of things. And yeah, every time I've caught it, I've really enjoyed the show that I'm listening to. So,
yeah. So if you guys want to, if all those shows you are sponsoring by helping us out, so audibletrial.com/T-Force podcast. Please go check that out. Sign up for your 1 free month of Audible. You get a free audio book, and every month after that you pay for. You get another free audio book, and then you can pay for them. You use that to listen to in your car, on your iPod, on your Android device, whatever you decide to use, and you can catch up with your latest books while you wait for the podcast to come out. So that is the sponsorship for this middle of the podcast. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic for this week.
Are we doing mailbag, or are we going to keep going on the other stuff? I'm genuinely curious now. It seems like mailbag's better.
Let's go ahead and do mailbag because I haven't done research on those other two pieces yet. We can talk about. We'll talk about them with Greg on Thursday. We'll pick Greg's brain.
It's fine. I get it. You don't want me here. It's cool.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Dom is out this Wednesday. I said Thursday, Wednesday. All right, Mitch.
Yep.
Are you ready?
I am.
You're gonna
He's
take.
not ready. Look at him.
This
guy's like totally stone cold sober.
Excuse me.
I know.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
he
here
doesn't
you go,
really talk
buddy.
too much.
Come on,
Cheers.
up here. Thank you. Yeah, boys.
All right, JD. First of all, I want to say Volcanic Techie. I know your name is Volcano, but Volcanic Techie wrote in, and he gave us this very long email, thanking us for, talking about him and reading his questions. And Volcano, from my heart to yours, thank you very much for writing in and being a friend. We do very much feel you as a friend, so go ahead and add me in game. But JD, he writes in, you're the first out this week, not Volcano. Can you guys talk about dragon control? Specifically, when is a 2 or 3 man attempt possible? How early can it be done? Can it be done during an early landing phase when it's worth leaving lane to secure dragon? Mitch, do you want to take that one?
Just a second. Sorry, I was looking at chat.
Dragon control. Let's talk about dragon control.
Early dragon control. Well, I'm a support player like Dom, and I'm a bit more sober than him for once. Probably the only time ever. But
I don't believe you.
I just opened my second beer, so I'm on my way.
Oh, yeah,
but
like 7.
Dragon controls is interesting because it depends on a lot of things. You can say, I'd say the top few things you could say, hey, let's go get dragon. You need your jungler around. You need to either be able to see their jungler, see him go low, fail a gank, something that he's no longer going to be in the area or be able to contest. And if you take a big advantage bot lane, that can also help. If you won a big trade, either getting kills, forced them to back, or left them really low, you can go force that easily. Especially if you got a pink ward going around, you can drop that, have vision control. I love going for dragons all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Dragons are overlooked in solo queue.
They are.
So
I think people are scared to do dragon, even with the jungler. I think there is this, like, in people's mind, I think it's too high of a risk and not enough reward. Truthfully, like, if you're going for a 2-man dragon, I think you need to have the jungler there. If you're going for a 3, if you're going for a 3-man, I really do think you can do it with a support, a marksman, and a mid. You just need to know.
Someone's got a tank.
I'll be right back.
Someone's got. Well, you can alternate tanking and everything.
True.
Like, part of it depends on resources. I think the big thing is knowing where the enemy jungler is. Like, if your top laner just killed the enemy jungler in a weird gank situation, then, like, you should really give a hard thought to dragon. Or, like, frankly, if you know the jungler is top lane and you just killed mid, or like, if you have a good strategic advantage on the map, to me, that's a good opportunity to do dragon in lieu of another one of the objectives, because
it's the easiest one at the time, probably.
It's easiest, but also, like, the other objectives, once you take them, they're gone. So, like, dragon is going to keep coming, so if you don't take it then, you have left it for your opponent to take at a later point, and that might be a minute later. And if you focus one of the turrets, and those are incredibly important objectives. I'm not trying to downplay the significance of those, but if you take a turret there and they get to take a dragon as a result, that means they get to respond with that turret later within the 6-minute span of dragon, and you get no money for that.
I really like where you're going with that, because the way I look at it is, for every dragon that you get, it denies them the opportunity for a significant portion of time, and that's the key thing. It takes away their potential for dragon for
6 minutes.
X amount of time.
For 6 minutes. Whether they know it's 6 minutes or not is another story. But you have denied that money to them for 6 minutes.
So if they do end up taking a turret and they force you out of lane bot and there's 4 people bot and they go and take dragon, they have twice the amount of objectives that you got for whatever trade that was. But say you took the dragon 3 minutes before, they don't have that opportunity to go and take the dragon right then, and it's an important thing to look at it as a denial factor.
The jungler plays, and the junglers on both teams really play an incredible role in whether or not you can take dragon. You can't just decide to take dragon if both teams have all 5 members on the map. But if you know their enemy jungler, if you know the enemy jungler isn't close or is dead, and you can capitalize that, or your jungler is nearby and you know they can't respond in a quick enough fashion to really take that objective for you. I mean, you gotta pounce on that money. That money goes such a long way.
I think one thing that happens a lot in LCS, and every caster says this, is they trade a top kill and turret for dragon. It happens so often because if you see that pressure top, first of all, you're going to have your top laner screaming because he's supposed to be on an island, and why the hell is the jungler up there?
Right.
But you have that ability to just move immediately. You've got the advantage. You have the person with smite. You might as well. And so if you see that jungler go top, if you're bot lane or even mid lane, you can do it either way. Push your lane really quick. Push it without obviously hurting yourself, but push your lane so you're not losing as many resources. Get to dragon, get back. You won't lose very much in your lane, hopefully, and it'll be global gold experience. It'll work out way better than.
I think this all goes back to vision is information, like Dom brought up a very number of episodes ago, that you need to have vision in the enemy jungle, even if it's at the entrance to his camps, if it's at in the river, whatever it may be. That information allows you to take that and use that to your advantage to take dragons. And this goes also off of Mitch's point, where if you're able to take a top tower while they're taking a dragon, that's actually worth it for you more than it is for them. Potentially, there's it's getting the flow chart if then. Right. But usually taking something in response to that dragon is okay. You'll see a lot of LCS teams give up the dragon to take mid tower because that opens the map up so much wider.
And in theory, that means you get the objective that the soft objective that they took later on.
Mm-hmm.
But
in for
practice,
solo queue specifically, information. Vision is information, is power. So if you know where that jungler is at, if that's the point that you make the decision to take dragon, don't be afraid to bait around dragon either. People try to use Baron as the big bait objective. I think dragon is a bigger and better bait objective than Baron is, because you can do it earlier in the game.
And it doesn't have that debuff that makes you super vulnerable.
Right. Exactly.
That's a huge thing that a lot of people forget about in solo queue, and just in general, that magic damage taken debuff happens when you fight Baron.
Yeah, eating all of his shots while you're trying to. You suddenly turn on the enemy team after you're eating the shots of Baron,
and you take way more than you expect.
But yeah, don't be afraid to try to set up an ambush. Everybody go sit in this bush. They're all going to run down and think that we ran away from dragon because they thought they were coming. The bottom bush and on red side, there's that little lane bush. I'm trying to think on the side. I can't really.
I'm not sure which. Are you talking about the river brush on bottom lane?
Yes, the bottom river brush on red side.
Yeah,
that's
I know what you're talking about.
Because I was trying to think tri-brush, and then there's that bottom river. But you can go hide in there and let them run and start taking dragon, and that's when you collapse on them. And you can actually get a solo queue team to listen to you and sit in that bush and do it. It might be harder at some of the lower ranks that are not used to it, but it definitely works out in your advantage.
I gotta give credit to friend of the podcast, GG Chronicle moderator, future podcast contributor, Days Untold. She does an amazing job of trying to rally the troops and just directing the team as a whole. It's something that, as a support player, I really should be doing, and I don't because I'm just hesitant to contribute to chat. But she is constantly trying to get everybody to really follow one cohesive objective, and she understands better than anybody I've played with that no single player can read the minds of the other 4 players on his or her team, and that you need to communicate in order to just focus on an objective. And so saying as much like, hey, let's do dragon. Hey, we need to group mid and focus that down. Like, people aren't necessarily going to listen to you, and that is frustrating, but at least you've gotten that out there, and some people are going to respond. And if one person has been issuing those commands and saying, hey, let's focus this objective, and another person on the team doesn't follow, the rest of the team is going to be like, no, this call was made, you need to follow, motherfucker, so that we can win this goddamn game, because we all want to. And she doesn't say as much. That's me ad-libbing here a little bit. But, like, the reality is, if somebody makes a call, follow the call, because at least the communication is being made there. And you, like, if you're not going to follow the call, voice it and voice your reason why real fast, because the rest of the team is going to do it.
You also forgot that she was my opponent in Victorious Gaming on the
T-Force
tournament.
I didn't see the chat going on there. That was a fun game to watch.
That was a fun game.
We're going to talk about that on Wednesday, so let's
oh my gosh, all right.
Wednesday.
Yeah, that was
I know
crazy.
how much you would like to really talk about that and stuff, but
no, I don't want to relive those memories. No.
The Udyr backdoor.
That was such a brutal game to watch. It
was a brutal game to cast. Like, well, the worst thing about that was
survived.
Yeah, I remember that time you were going to talk about this on a Wednesday?
Well, I just want to say casting. I have a lot of respect for the casters. Like, I've been casting on and off since like 2011, 2012. I've never really put much thought, much time into it after that point. But casting for 5 hours in a row, anybody who has to cast a best of 5, I have so much respect for those guys, because by the 5th game, I was so done.
That game was so, like, they won, and I respect that Udyr was willing to do whatever it took to win that game for them. But that was such a dirty way, like such a grimy way to win that game. I was like, oh my god, the other team fought so hard to win it, and then it was that kind of like tricky maneuver that really decided the game. I respect
Udyr's a hero.
He's
a hero.
He did what it took to win the game, and I have the utmost respect for him to saying, like, you know what, we are not going to win this by conventional means. It's time for me to think outside this fucking box. And I felt so bad for your team, Mitch, because I'm like, you guys had this. You had this so many times, and then all of a sudden Udyr shows up out of nowhere. It's like, nope, hero mode, I'm doing this.
I wasn't trying to get drunk tonight, but now you're making me relive these memories. No, it's cool. That was a fun game. Hey, let's go on though.
I was gonna say, you took the words out of my mouth. Let's go ahead and move on to the next and possibly last question of the night. So, Chira's favorite fan. I am bad. I feel bad.
Thank you for this.
He wrote in.
Read it, Chira.
Yeah, Chira. Go
All right.
for it.
My friends like to joke and say that I'm Wood 5 because I'm still learning the basics. At the moment, I just fill so I can learn all the roles. While I feel like I can handle myself well while laning, I can't team fight for the life of me. I don't know when to go in, who to target, when to withdraw, etc. Do you have any tips or suggestions?
Yes, I do, and I'm going to take this because I had to go through this exact thing about 2 years ago, and I still remember it fresh, and I've been trying to teach my brother this. You have to play, you have to fail. 100% have to fail to get better at this game. So you need to make the decision. You want to know why? Because I played during the meta that Malphite was fantastic, and he was the initiator, and I had to play Malphite in the top lane. So I had to decide when to go in with that Ori ball on me, and that is the most pressure you're ever going to have on your back playing in a ranked 5s team, right?
That's true.
Because you have to wait for that perfect time where at least 3 of them are grouped up, but you want to wait for 4, and you don't know if you want that extra second to watch. There's so many things going through your head that you're thinking about. You have to fail. That's how you decide to do it. I went in when there was 2 of them here, and like I said earlier, you're going to run into that same situation, a very similar situation later on down the line, whether it's the next game or 10 games after that. Jumping in there as a Malphite, you ulted one person, they killed him, and it turned around for the team fight. Now you know that when people are 15 Teemos away, that's the correct call. But if they are 8 Teemos away and you ulted that one person, you could have waited that extra few seconds and had everybody grouped together. So it's all of a point of try and error. It's a failure. It's a failure thing. You have to try things to get better at this game.
For me, specifically, it was you need to know who the most important person on your team is. And usually that's going to be your AD carry, but sometimes you have a rough laning phase, or your AD carry has a rough lane. Like the support lives for whatever reason because you didn't do your job, or because they just knew how to do their job so well that
Or
they
you
could kill
have Dom on your team and he steals all your kills. I mean,
I don't usually do that. But sometimes, like, you need to know who the most important person on your team is, and then you need to know how to keep that person alive. And that applies most to the support, regardless of who you're playing. Like, whether that's, Braum or Sona. Like, you need to know who the most important person on your team is and how to keep that person alive. And then you need to do that job. And, like, that means... sometimes that means attacking the really high priority target in the back because you can just lock that person down and make sure he or she deals no damage. And a lot of times that really just means standing by the squishy people in the back and either intercepting damage on their behalf or reducing that opponent's ability to do anything. But it does take a lot of work, time, energy, and effort to understand what you're doing there. For me, part of what helped was really playing Dominion games because there's so much less emphasis on laning and so much more focus on the team fight elements of that mode.
I was about to say I like the ARAM suggestion just to it forces you to fight, which is it gives you the opportunity to fight way more often, so you don't have to play a million solo queue games where
we talked about
people
this a
might
really
not
long
engage.
time ago. The same thing. If you want to learn how to team fight, shit, it was probably episode like 50 or 60. We said you should play ARAMs to learn the team fight.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that.
It's an acquired skill. I don't know how many players out there really go into any game and just understand how team fighting works.
It's hard. You lose yourself in team fights. I mean, even at
Spacebar is your friend.
I was getting toward exactly. Whereas I'm still, I'm Platinum 3, and when I get into a team fight, there are times where I lose myself. More often than not, I don't. But there are definitely times where you'll hit everything, and there's all the Shyvana's ult again, and you're getting ulted by Ori at the same time, and Karma's throwing her Q. There's all these graphical things going off, and you're just I don't even know what's going on.
Early on when I was playing this game, I used the Riot Girl Tristana skin, and the first thing I said is I can't distinguish myself from the minions in this game. I have to use I can't use this skin anymore.
The pink minions. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I mean, there are some skins where you just simply blend in with the environment or the actions going on around you, and if that is something that afflicts you as a player, fucking avoid that skin. Or if it's a champion you like and the base skin for whatever reason blends in, buy something new so you can see yourself.
Or use
because holy shit,
that
will affect you.
I'd say he also says talking about laning in this, and one thing you really have to realize is that it's not just experience. It's actually having the capacity to learn from that experience, because if you just go into a game and don't learn anything from the mistakes, it's possible to do that. It's possible to learn absolutely nothing. And I know that just recently, since I started shoutcasting, I've been able to pick up a lot more on team comp ideas or why certain champions work better with each other. Like you can, if you step outside the box a little bit, and you can do this in champ select, in loading screens, when you're dead, you can just take a look and say, why are people doing something? And it's the same thing happens with item buys. If you can't explain to me or yourself or anybody why you bought an item, you probably shouldn't be buying it. You should be able to defend that idea and say it's because I need more AD because
very good point.
They're weak, or I'm buying Last Whisper because they've bought a lot of armor and I need to be able to penetrate through that, or I need to be more tanky. If you can explain why you're doing something, it makes more sense, and you can kind of build on that a lot more. So that's my 2 cents.
Very well said. That's something that needs to be said, because last night I played until about 2 a.m. last night, and I got dumpstered on by a Fiora. I played Gangplank. It was a blind pick, so I played Gangplank, right?
Of course you did.
Yeah, right.
Do you have any other champs on blind pick?
Not really, no. I'll play Lee Sin. Like tonight, if we play after this podcast, I'm going to play Lee Sin, because he's my favorite. He's my new favorite top champion right now. Like, I'm terrible. I'm an 80 pig. I cannot do an insect for the life of me, but I love it.
Hey, shut up, Adam. Everybody else, He admitted he's terrible.
No. He admitted he couldn't do something.
I admit I couldn't do something.
He said,
No. I admit I couldn't do
I'm
something.
terrible. He said I'm terrible.
No, don't take it out of context. I said I'm terrible
I'm
based on the
taking it
pig.
out of
I said
context.
based on the pig.
I
Based
don't
on the
care
80
about, I
pig.
don't care about the pig. You admitted.
Oh,
Eighty
Mister,
whole
I'm an
pig.
editor who
All
doesn't
I'm
care about
hearing
the
is-
context.
When?
My name's Adam, and
When?
I'm bad.
Hearing some when?
Thank you. Thank you.
First time on the podcast.
No. I want Dom to admit that being the editor, that context is one of the most important things when writing. Because fuck you if you're going to judge me based on no context.
Couldn't be less important. Context doesn't even matter a little bit.
He is
I don't know
lying
what
through
you're
his
talking about.
goddamn teeth at this point in time. I played an 80 pig. I cannot insect for the life of me. By the time I get behind them, they move.
Insects on greater than 80
Bullshit!
pig.
Insects on 10 ping.
If you guys can use
First of
his
all, the
name
fact
and the
that you-
verb back to back, that's just it's too meta, guys.
I'm not drunk
Week has
enough.
gotten way too meta. No,
I
it's
need
not
to go.
that.
All right, you know what? So let's run down some quick stuff. Mitch, why don't you tell us about the LCS rundown and what you guys have done to the LCS rundown to change the format of the show recently? Because I know we had a lot of criticism with that, and I like to have somebody on that can talk about it.
So, in a word, structure, because we didn't have that in the slightest. And so last night was the first time we actually did a bit more structure. And I liked what we did is we quickly ran down the more Eastern scenes, the Asian, the Chinese, and Korean, what had just happened, because they both had just had their league finals. Covered those really briefly because I know a lot of our listeners probably care more about the LCS. It's more viewable. You can't really get to see Korean games unless you pay for it. And so last night, and I don't know if we'll do the same thing, we each picked a team to talked about the results, as opposed to just kind of tunnel visioning onto specific teams. Not going to name anyone in particular, but
Everybody knows. Come on, everybody knows.
I know. But we ended up getting to talk about a number of teams. We got Millennium, Super Hot Crew, TSM, and Dignitas last night, and it'll change. I think that it'll be easy for us to go between different teams. Say they had a great week. This is like everything switched up this season, anyways, and I thought it worked a lot better. And I
listened to a portion of it because I had to put it together today, and I haven't released it yet. By the time you listen to this podcast, it'll be released. But you guys did a much better job, and I think the structure is, it greatly helps the podcast out.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think humorously enough, Dom and I have been yelling about structure since episode 1, but we knew you guys had to find your voice. So we're happy. We're happy everybody's doing it.
You guys have not had a full crew for.
We've had 4 episodes, I think, with all 4 of us together.
Yeah, and it's not like it was 4 episodes consecutively. It was like, hey, I'm here. Hey, someone's missing. Hey, that person's back, but a new person's missing. Like, that was just the shit.
Last night was, I think, the best one we've had so far, and I hope that we have that kind of which I thought was just really, really good. So,
yep.
Hopefully, if you guys want to check it out, please come watch, listen, either or.
Please go check out the T-Force LCS rundown. They've changed their format, as we just talked about.
It's a good show.
Nothing they said. It's a great show, and they've, like I said, I keep saying it. They've changed everything. They're listening to your feedback. So if you had feedback at TrinityForcePodcast.com, you're going to hear it in about 30 seconds here. How to get on it. So, guys, that is episode 164 of the Trinity Force podcast. Please go check out Nature Box. Please check out Audible Trial. Help the podcast out as much as you can. If you cannot, continue to listen every week. That helps out just as much as signing up for those products. So, that's episode 164, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye. We love you.
Not everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining, Mitch.